Hi guys, today we're going to talk about boots and how to choose the right pair. There are 5 types of boots. Approach shoes, trekking shoes for footpaths, trekking shoes if you're going off footpaths, alpine boots and high altitude boots. Trekking shoes, as you can see, they're narrow here, they don't come above the ankle, yet they have all the other features of the boots. They have the same soles and tongues and lacing. Trekking boots. These are trekking boots, and you can see that they now come above your ankle. However, these are low level trekking and low terrain, and they've got quite a lot of flex in them. These, however, are more extreme trekking, and they're much stiffer. So these, you could put a crampon on these if you needed to, but it'd have to be a crampon that clamps around the boot. And so the purpose behind these boots is that you can use them in the lowlands, and then when you get up, if there is danger where you need to put crampons on, you can put them on. We're now getting into the alpine boots. The difference between these and those is that the insulation in these is much thicker, because it's obviously colder in the Alps. The boot is rigid, does not bend, cannot bend it, and on the front and the back you have little cleats for clipping on the crampons. And then when you get to the extreme alpine boots that you would use in very cold terrain, these actually are 2 boots. You have an inner and an outer shell, both lace up, and these are obviously super rigid and got crampon points. There are 5 things you need to know about choosing a boot. That is the ankle support, weatherproofing, the sole, the tongue, and wearing them in. The tongue. On a boot, the tongue here needs to be joined to the boot through a piece of webbing. That stops water getting into the boot and making your feet wet. It's very important. Ankle support. You can see that the side of this boot comes up above the top of the ankle, and it's very stiff around here. So when you're walking over rough terrain, if you do twist your foot on a rock, it's going to support your ankle, stop you spraining it. Very important. The sole. This is a Vibram sole. Vibram are predominantly on most boots, and they're very well known for their strength and grip. Notice how chunky the tread is on the sole, and again, you want one that's got a bit more flex in it than this one, probably something more akin to this. So as you're walking, it'll stop you getting blisters less. Waterproof. Now, these boots are Gore-Tex lined, this pair here. Equally, they are also made of leather, so they are very waterproof. Shoes like this, or boots that have this cloth on them, are less waterproof. Some of them have a Gore-Tex lining, but that Gore-Tex lining can wear away over time. So you're better off buying a pair of boots like this, or this pair, that are all leather all the way over, and if they're Gore-Tex lined, then that's a bonus. Thing to remember about Gore-Tex lining is that it does make your feet hotter. So if you're walking in boots that are Gore-Tex lined in the summer, then your feet will sweat more, and you've got more chance of getting blisters. And finally, wearing the boots in. The most important thing to remember. When you get a new pair of boots, before you go out on any serious trek, you need to wear them in, and this we recommend that you do in 2 phases. First phase, wear them in around the house. So do a maximum of about 48 hours, more than 36 hours walking around the house in the boots. Don't have to do it all in one go. Spread it out over a series of days or weeks, but add up in your head the hours that you're doing. So walk for 2 hours here, 2 hours there, all afternoon there. Put them on when you're doing your homework and stuff like that. There's 2 reasons why you do that indoors. One, because straight away you'll start to wear the boots in. 2, if after doing that time you find that they always hurt in a certain place, or they just don't feel comfortable, you can take them back to the shop because you haven't worn them outside, and most outdoor sports shops will accept them back at that point. Once you've done that, you then need to start wearing them in outside, and this is where you want to go on shorter walks and extend the time over the walks. And once you've worn them in, they'll be very, very comfortable, and they will last you 10-15 years, assuming that your feet don't grow. One question I always get asked about boots is about blisters. A lot of people complain about blisters, get blisters when they're walking, and they want to know how to deal with those blisters. The first thing is you always go for prevention rather than cure. Once you've got a blister, you can't get rid of it. When you're walking, if you start to feel a hot spot on your toe or your heel, then stop, take your boot off, adjust your socks, adjust the boot, do them back up again. If you have some, you can have some blisties, the little Compeed blister pads that they're very good to put on and prevent. Equally, you can put micro tape over the patch. In fact, I often get blisters on my toes, and so I just tape around my toes so that I don't get those blisters. Equally, another way of sorting out blisters is by making sure that you choose the right socks. Choosing the right socks is probably the simplest way of addressing this problem. Most people, especially young scouts, will go and wear sports socks, and then they'll find that they drop down, they're not tall enough, etc., etc. So what you need a pair of thick woolen type socks, trekking socks. You can get all these in exactly the same shops that you can buy the boots. These again they're very high, and they will come out the top of a boot like this, so you won't get chafing from the top of the boot on your leg. And as you can see, these are loop stitch. Loop stitch is very important because all the loops stand up like this, and as your foot is moving across the top of them, you're getting less friction because the loops are bending with your foot rather than if it was on a hard surface. Additionally, if you're really, really prone to blisters, then like I am, you can get these. These are lining socks. These are very, very thin, and you put these on first, then you put those socks on afterwards, and what happens is that these kind of cling to your foot. They're very slippery, and they slide inside the sock. So instead of your foot rubbing against the sock, giving it friction, it's this sock that is rubbing against the sock. And this is a piece of bonus material for those of you that may find that your ankles hurt when walking. Sometimes when you're walking, your ankles will tip in or out. This is called pronation or supination. And to prevent that, you can get inner soles like this that have the right support in them, but you take the sole out of your boot and you put that insole in. That stops your ankles or your heels rolling when you walk, and therefore stops it aching. The way to find out if you do pronate is to have someone walk behind you and get them to watch the straight line down the back of your leg. If it goes straight into your heel, then you're probably okay. If it bends and your heel moves when you walk, that's probably could be a problem, and you probably then need to go and see a chiropodist to get it properly checked out. In summary, the 5 things I want you to remember when you're buying your boots are: they've got to be waterproof, they've got to have a high ankle support, they've got to have a tongue that's joined onto the boot to stop water penetration, they've got to have a strong, robust sole, and that you've got to wear them in. Thank you for listening to this video about boots, and hope it helps you choose the right pair. Bye.